A fountain of youth potion that we don't know about. Aging is a process that is a fact of life, and at any age there are needs. Paul Downey is president and CEO of Serving Seniors, and Maya Sri Krishnan is from Voice of San Diego, who recently wrote an article on transportation needs. Good day to both of you. Thanks for joining us on this very important topic. So Maya, let's talk about the article that you wrote for Voice of San Diego, and that was MTS Access. And they're changing their process for people to qualify, right?
Yes. So MTS Access is the paratransit. It's basically a van you see going around that'll bring people from door to door. And it's meant for people with disabilities and who can't use the regular trolley and bus system.
Oh. Okay, go ahead.
And so they basically saw a huge increase over the past few years of more than 33%, and it's a very expensive service. And so they went back to kind of change their eligibility process to make sure that everyone who's using it actually needs to use it and possibly cut down the numbers and costs.
Okay, and so let's talk about MTS's response to this. And they said that, you know, in response to your article, age is not a basis for eligibility for the access service, because that's something that was pointed out tangentially related here. Eligibility is totally dependent on disability. The new process is to ensure that the people who receive this service are eligible for it. So they make themselves clear that you legitimately have to be disabled to use this service. But in fact, Paul, let's bring you into the conversation here. Disability is a part of aging for many seniors, isn't it?
It is. I mean, and that is just part of the natural evolutionary process. As we age, we'll run into some sort of infirmities. I think it's important, though, as we look at that, to know that it doesn't mean that people are still not vital and active participants in the community. I think sometimes ageism creeps in, and we look at people who may need a walker or a hearing aid or something and kind of shunt them aside. They can still be vital members of the community, but it is a natural evolutionary process, and some of us will need more help as we age.
And Maya, largely as public transportation works right now, you had mentioned something to me in a conversation that we had, that right now it really doesn't serve seniors, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, right now the public transportation system is usually built for commuters, so it's built to bring people from their homes into work and vice versa, whereas if you're retired, you most likely need to go to the grocery store or health center or something like that. So, you know, right now the routes aren't necessarily built to facilitate that.
And so, Paul, are we thinking about that here in San Diego?
Well, I think we are. I mean, and one of the things we need to think more of, though, is I think building age-friendly communities where people don't need to go great distances, but we're building higher density housing. We're making sure there are grocery stores and libraries and parks and amenities so that people don't need to travel great distances. If we all have a car, it's not a big thing to go across town for something, but if you're trying to carry your grocery bags up and down a bus or onto the trolley, that limits, how much you can buy, and it's a major inconvenience if you have some sort of infirmity.
And so, Maya, I think a lot of other places have to think, including San Diego, they have to think outside the box. Is that the case here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're going to have to start serving a population that has very different needs than what public transit has traditionally started serving. So, I mean, there are some cities, like I believe Washington, D.C. is starting to partner with Uber and Lyft to see if they can help facilitate some of those services. But I also think that one of the things they need to look at is start shaping their roots and start shaping the communities and housing, like Paul mentioned, to facilitate senior mobility.
Okay, and so Paul, go ahead. You had a thought? Okay, so these communities that we have to build, how do we get the attention of legislators, or how do we raise your voice? I've known you for a long, long time, and you've been waving this flag forever. You are CEO of Serving Seniors. You serve thousands. So how do you get the attention if you haven't already?
Well, I mean, I've been trying to jump up and down, and my colleagues in the aging community have been trying to jump up and down. And so we have elected officials who express some interest, but there aren't really true champions out there, people who are saying, you know what, we need to deal with this. We know demographically we're going to double the number of seniors in this country over the next 15 years. 1 in 2 California seniors doesn't have enough money to meet basic needs. These things are facts, and yet we're not planning. We know this is going to happen, and we should be building a solid infrastructure of policy to ensure that we can deal with it as we hit 2030 and beyond, when the real impact is going to hit us.
And so the fact is, not all seniors are disabled. There are needs, but they have different needs as well, right?
Right. Well, and that's an opportunity for us that I think sometimes gets lost. I mean, there's some challenges, but what gets lost is that we have this huge cohort of people who bring life experience, knowledge, to the table, and how do we keep them active and involved in the community? And that touches things like transportation. If you can't get someplace to volunteer, you can't volunteer. And so as a society, sometimes we shunt older adults aside and say, there's your rocking chair, you've earned it, enjoy it. But those people still want to participate and can give and make a difference, and we need to make sure that we're giving them the opportunities to do so.
It's a culture change?
I think it's a culture change, absolutely. I mean, again, it's moving beyond ageism. I mean, again, we see that a lot, where people will look at somebody and make an instant impression, or I've had seniors tell me, you know what, when people don't even look at me as they walk down the street. And we need to look at this as a valuable resource, especially when you consider so many, we're going to have so many, that if we don't figure out a way to deal with it, we're going to have some major economic issues as well as social issues.
All right. Maya, thank you very much for your informative article. That's good. Thank you. And Paul Downey, as always, thank you very much. It's a surging problem.